France is a dream destination for many, with the romantic atmosphere of Paris, the sun-soaked coast of the south of France, or the fairy tale-like villages of Provence. Would France be your retirement destination? Hello everyone, this is Ronan Blue, and if you're new to this channel, welcome. This channel is all about how my girlfriend and I achieved financial independence and debt freedom 3 years back since paying off our mortgage. With my newfound freedom, I talk about how we made it happen, the types of passive income we have that anyone could implement, our thoughts on early retirement overseas, personal thoughts, and general financial issues. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our weekly content full of information helping you get to financial independence yourself. Today's topic would be on the 8 best reasons to retire to France. Just as a disclaimer, the information provided is a general guide and to be used for educational purposes only. While the dream to live in France does become a reality for many, let's look at some details as to why and how coming now. Number 1. Culture in France. French national identity is based on the historical origins of the nation in Celtic, Gallo-Roman, and Frankish cultures. Their nation is often described as a hexagon to describe its six-sided shape and has the largest area of space in Western Europe. For much of its history, France has played a central role in European culture. Monuments, especially from the period of Roman occupation, are numerous. Now, as we all know, a lot of the culture of France are world famous, such as their excellent food and wine, but other parts are less well known. France is a country of 67 million people, and the country is multi-ethnic and multicultural. The vast majority of native citizens speak French, and despite what they say, plenty of French people in large cities such as Paris speak English well and enjoy doing so. But it may be considered rude to address people in English first, without first being asked whether they speak English. French families are generally close-knit as well, immediate families dine together during the week, and it's common to lunch or dine with extended family on weekends. Number 2. Places to live in France. Paris. Now, living in Paris is the obvious first option to live in France. It's without a doubt one of the most beautiful cities in the world, also known as the City of Light, and Paris is actually the most visited capital city in the world for good reason. But Paris is also a notoriously expensive city to live in, and certainly not the place to live if you want to experience French living on a budget, but it does offer a beautiful and exciting lifestyle. Montpellier. This city actually offers a cheaper and interesting living experience than Paris. Rent is a lot cheaper here than Paris as well. It's still somewhat secret from tourists, giving locals and expats plenty of space to enjoy orchestra performances and musical festivals, plus the hopping nightlife and restaurants that stay open extra late. It has a much slower pace of life, and it has its beautiful boulevards, family-run shops, and white sandy beaches that could be close to where you live. It's full of history for you to enjoy the sights and taking in the architecture. It's located on the warm, sunny southern coast of France with a population of about 250,000 people. It's known as a university town and embodies all the liveliness and energy you'd expect. Art lovers would treasure the city's numerous galleries and museums, known for its impressive collection of 17th and 19th century European art. It's also bike-friendly, offering more than 90 miles of bike paths throughout the city. This is a popular retirement destination. It's a beautiful French city of 80,000, a few miles from the Spanish border. You'll find old villas and mansions that line the streets with spectacular views of the mountains. It has mild wet winters with mild warm summers. Even European nobility came for vacations in the 19th and early 20th centuries. It has ski resorts that are close by, and the beaches are close as well. You'll be able to go hiking, climbing, and cycling, and it's known for its sports. Don't forget the 18-hole golf course as well. While the country's capital may be beyond the budgets of many expats hoping to retire to France, there are still many towns and cities where day-to-day costs are less while still offering the best that living in France has to offer. Number 3. Food in France. Traditional French food relies on simple combinations that enhance the rich, natural flavors of basic ingredients. It was actually added to UNESCO's World List of Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2010. Let's talk about some of the foods here. Beef bourguignon. This is a traditional French meal that has become internationally well known. It's a stew made of beef, braised in red wine, beef broth, and seasoned with garlic, pearl onions, fresh herbs, and mushrooms. It's a method of slowly simmering beef in wine to tenderize tough cuts of meat. It takes 2 days to tenderize the meat and intensify the flavors. Frenchy soup. This onion soup is very famous in France. It's made with meat, beef, or chicken stock, onions, with cheese, and goes with a large piece of bread. It actually isn't a light soup. That's no surprise since bread and cheese are integral to the ancient recipe. Oven toasted slices of French bread slathered with olive oil, grated and grilled with Swiss cheese come together to create a national treasure. Quiche Lorraine. This is a tart topped with a mixture of cream, milk, eggs, and nutmeg, and grilled bacon. It gives a smoky flavor that is well appreciated in all parts of France. It's really popular and you can find it in a bakery or restaurant, or in a more modern form with mushrooms, leeks, and chicken. Number 4. Things to do in France. France has many charms that are legendary to fill up your retirement. It's really hard to know where to start when it's all around you. There are obvious ones like the Eiffel Tower, but you'll see inviting sidewalk cafes, world-class museums, endless things to do where you might be elbow to elbow with a lot of tourists at times. But let's look at more things to do here. There's also the Paris Walk. Although this means taking a stroll, it's a way to walk the city to experience it. It's after all called the City of Light. The central area of Paris is only a couple of miles wide, and some of the best rewards would be in taking to the streets on foot, to eat more and to burn it off. You're actually never more than 500 yards from the nearest station, and you won't need to take a cab, or you have the bicycles as well, with a quick access to a system with a smart chip-enabled credit card. A great way to see the city as well. River cruise. Now there are river cruises as well, a relaxing experience. You'll be floating past historic landmarks along the way on the left and the right, and there are a variety of boat tours, including daytime boat tours, brunch or lunch cruises, and romantic dinner cruises. At night, the monuments are illuminated, creating a truly captivating impression. Or you can learn to cook classic French cuisine. The French gastronomic meal has been placed into the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Each area of France has its own distinctive culinary style. There's escargot, cheese puffs, chicken stew, and beef burgundy. There are cooking classes that provide an immersion into the Burgundian lifestyle and culture. You'll make visits to local markets to shop for your ingredients and will of course be given instruction in preparing traditional specialties, and then savoring the delicious meals that you could have whenever you like once you master it. There's a wide variety of culinary classes in all of the regions. They range from 1 to 5 days, and it's one of the best kinds of experiences you can have in cooking. Some lessons even take place in 400-year-old buildings. Number 5. Cost of living in France. Now France can be expensive, but that doesn't mean that there aren't ways to live there economically. As in most countries, the cost of living in France varies greatly depending on your lifestyle and whether you live in the capital region or the provinces. Of course, the costs are higher in France's major cities, Paris in particular. Accommodation cost represents the largest part of expenses in France, and many find that living outside of Paris is much less expensive than living in the city center as long as transportation isn't a factor. When comparing to the US, if you just look at the prices of goods, it's tempting to say that the US is cheaper than France. Whether it's the prices of groceries, restaurant, or overall consumer prices, all of them are actually the opposite. It's about 7% lower in the US than France. But when you look at the most important cost, renting, rent prices in the US are actually more than 40% higher than in France. Just taking that into account is enough to make overall consumer prices be lower in France. Also, the US is so large and it's divided into 50 different states. There are already huge differences within the US itself. If you compare Paris with New York, which are the economic capitals of these two countries, you'll see the difference there, where basically everything is cheaper in Paris. Consumer prices, groceries, restaurants, everything is more expensive in New York, especially rent prices, which are more than double the prices in France. But if you were to compare the two countries in whole, you'll find that the US is cheaper than France, though this would mean ignoring the incredibly high rent prices, and it wouldn't even be much of a comparison considering how diverse the US is. It all really depends on which state you're from. A meal at an inexpensive restaurant would be $16.64 between $11 and $22 USD. A meal for 2 people at a mid-range restaurant for a 3-course meal would be $55 between $43 and $77 USD. Basic utilities for an apartment would be $185 between $110 and $332 USD per month. The internet would be $31 between $22 and $44 USD per month. An apartment 1 bedroom in city center would be $1,336 between $887 and $1,663 USD per month. An apartment 1 bedroom outside the city center would be $948 between $665 and $1,331 USD per month. An apartment 3 bedrooms in city center would be $2,845 between $1,996 and $3,660 USD per month. An apartment 3 bedrooms outside the city center would be $1,965 between $1,331 and $2,773 USD per month. Number 6. Buy property in France. Buying a property in France is very tempting, especially for all of the points I've just mentioned. But making the decision to buy a home in France is a big commitment, and it can be an expensive mistake if you get it wrong. Property prices in France actually held strong during the global economic crisis, unlike some of France's neighbors. It's one of Europe's core performing house markets and continues to attract international investors. But it's always a good idea to live in the country first by renting before making that big decision. You may end up wanting to go back home, stuck with a home under your name. There's a difference between visiting and living, and you'll be able to figure out the different seasons and locations as well, giving you a good idea of where to buy. But to find French properties for sale, you can look online in newspapers and property magazines with a real estate agent or realtor. International buyers may be able to find a realtor who can communicate and later negotiate in English. You'll need to look for registered organizations that include certain insurances and proper licensing. The government does have regulations in maintaining ethics for real estate professionals and property-related activities as well. There's a huge variety of properties not only in the regions of France, but in the types of properties available. You have the choice between traditional village houses, farmhouses, townhouses, apartments, new build, main houses, barn conversions, and more. But renovation isn't really a popular thing in France, and there may be plenty of places that need work. You could actually find houses here for less than $100,000 around the countrysides, but an experienced local agent could ease the process and help you avoid any misunderstandings, especially if there's a language barrier. Number 7. Healthcare in France. France has a high-quality healthcare system that offers universal coverage for all citizens, regardless of age or economic situation. It has both public and private services, including doctors, hospitals, and specialist providers. Residents are covered through mandatory health insurance contributions, with optional private insurance available for those who want additional coverage. France was actually ranked 11th on the 2018 Euro Health Consumer Index and has been praised for its efficiency and outcomes. And as of 2016, a new healthcare system for foreigners known as Protection Universelle Maladie PUMA allows access to state healthcare after 3 months of residence. The PUMA program is for those with less than 5 years of French residency, are unemployed, are younger than 65, and don't receive a pension from a European country. By law, all residents must have some form of health insurance, whether state or private. Foreign residents will need to take out private health insurance during their first 3 months in France if they're not covered by the EHIC or some other form of insurance. Most dentists work within the public French healthcare system, and costs are reimbursed in the same way as other medical treatment. Anyone working in France will have social contributions automatically deducted from their salaries to cover their state healthcare insurance in France. But the health system is speedy. There are no long wait times at the doctor's office, and getting an appointment is easy, and the system offers high quality and affordable care. It's also accessible to all legal residents, even those who are unemployed. But French healthcare becomes accessible to expats after 3 months or sometimes sooner if they are working and paying Social Security. Number 8. How to live in France. For visits for fewer than 90 days, North American citizens need only a passport. If you're looking to stay longer, then you'll need to apply for a visa, a temporary residency visa, from your nearest French consulate. This will need to be done prior to your visit since the French authorities don't allow you to change your mind once in France. The application process can take up to 2 months, so allow longer to obtain your visa. If you'd like to reside in France for up to 6 months, you'll need to apply for a permanent residency visa from your nearest French consulate. You'll be asked why you wish to live in France, for work, study, or retirement as examples. Depending on your situation, a different visa will be needed. For example, if you're retired, you'll be applying for a visa retiree. If you're an American citizen planning to retire in France, you'll need a long-stay visitor visa. This is a visa type intended for people planning on staying in France for more than 3 months who won't be doing paid work. Visas are issued by the French consulate closest to your home in the US. You'll have to attend a meeting in person, and your application should usually be made about 3 months before you intend to travel. A permanent residence permit allows you to live permanently in France. Permits are valid for 10 years and renewable. This permit is granted according to your personal circumstances. But if you are a EU, EEA, and Swiss citizen, then you don't need to apply for a French visa or residence permit. EU citizens moving to and living in France don't need any special visa to do so. For non-EU, some nationalities need a visa just to enter France, regardless of whether it's for a short stay, up to 90 days, or longer, more than 90 days. Swaggin visas allow you to enter France for up to 3 months, 90 days, within a 6-month period, but you can't work or take up work contract if you come to France on a Swaggin visa, and you can't renew this type of visa from within the Swaggin area. You'll need to apply for a French Swaggin visa unless you're from one of the EU, EEA, or Switzerland. In some other countries including Australia, Israel, Japan, Canada, the Republic of Korea, New Zealand, and the United States of America. But of course you always want to check directly the government website for your particular situation for up-to-date information on visas, as they do change often. As a bonus section, let's talk about the pros and cons of living in France, starting with the pros. First off, the food. You'll be able to enjoy excellent food and wine with stunning architecture, landmarks, and points of interest that reside in France in your retirement. There's even beautiful skiing locations. There's a real variety of things to see and experience in France, with each city, town, or village so different from the next. The crime rate is also lower than most places, but the stats do fluctuate when focused on specific crimes. France also provides many options for where you'd like to live, depending on what you're looking for. You'll be able to travel around within France on vacation and experience different environments, from city to countryside, beaches, and ski resorts. France is also described as one of the greenest countries in the world, with its country efforts to reduce waste and water pollution. There are also cheaper properties, which means you can fulfill your desire to own your own home if you move to France. Now let's talk about the cons of France. French is the primary language spoken in France. Even though many French natives could also speak English, they generally prefer to speak in French. Almost everything you buy in France is more expensive than the US. There are a few cheaper things like bread and wine, but even those are similar in price. Americans living in France find eating and living prices take a majority of their extra pay. There's also a lot of changes to make in documentation, for example with bank accounts, insurance, driving licenses, and more. This process is commonly complicated. You also need to arrange health insurance, which is mandatory in France. Those who move to more urban areas and who intend to work in France realize how hard it is for foreign nationals to also find employment. But despite all of the points just discussed, if good healthcare, a relaxed lifestyle, and all the modern comforts you enjoy at home are among your top priorities, then France should be on your radar. With its rich culture and history, France is an ideal destination for many expats. Well, tell me what you think of living in France in the comment section below. If you like this vlog, please don't forget to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell for more of my coming content here. Thank you for watching my vlog. Be free, gain wealth, and travel far.